Hey, thank you, Lama Tantrapa Dajahao. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to World Tai Chi and Qigong Day. It's a privilege to be here with you and an honor to share this summit with other fellow practitioners and presenters. Now, I'm here in New Zealand and I'm about 20 hours ahead of some of you, so I may be first up on today's proceedings. But what I wish for you today is that whether you're new to Qigong or a seasoned practitioner, that these presentations will inspire you to either begin your Qigong journey or further deepen your practice. Now, there's many reasons why people come to Qigong: for its health and longevity benefits, for its medical applications or martial applications, for one's inner development. Now, when I started learning Wild Goose Qigong or Dian Qigong 24 years ago, it was to help a long-standing anxiety disorder. And that was a turning point for me, as I was moved to retrain in traditional Chinese medicine and undertook teacher training in Beijing with students of the late 27th Grandmaster Yang Meijun. This was just months before she passed away at the age of 106. And now, as a mentor, teacher, lao she, shifu, however you want to call it, part of my role is to nurture the seed in you and to cultivate this path and practice with you. The big idea here is, of course, if we can transform our own mind, body, and realize our own true self, then we can better transform the lives of those around us and indeed the world we're in. So moving forward with this presentation, I'll be going outside to teach you a few moves from the Wild Goose Qigong system. I'll also be giving you free access to the Dian Academy so you can check out further Wild Goose Qigong trainings in your own time. But first, I have to tell you about the Great Goose. Now, as you may know, over the millennia, China has evolved thousands of methods or styles of mind, body, spirit cultivation techniques that we now term as Qigong. And some of these, like Dian Qigong, have been handed down from ancient times, and some are more modern creations or hybrids even. Some of these styles are derived from observing the movements and characteristics of animals, like, for example, the 5 animal frolics with the tiger, bear, deer, monkey, and crane. Now, the Dian or Wild Goose system is based upon the bar-headed goose. Now, right now, around April, the bar-headed geese undertake their epic spring migration from the lowlands of India. They fly north over the Himalayas to their breeding grounds in Tibet, China, and Mongolia even. They can fly over 1,000 miles in a single day, reaching elevations of 30,000 feet. And to survive these high oxygen-thin altitudes, these geese have evolved a unique physiology, which include a larger heart and lungs, a deeper breathing, and a specialized pulmonary system, which helps the blood get through to their wings and around their whole body. They also migrate and nest together in flocks of thousands, communicating with each other in V-shaped formations, and nesting pairs will often stay together for many years to ensure the survival of their offspring. Now, around 1,800 years ago, Taoist hermits living in the Kunlun Mountains observed the extraordinary ways of this great goose, or Dian, and in reverence they devised a system of health preservation that they named after it, now called the Kunlun Dian Qigong or Wild Goose Qigong. So this system survives today thanks to the vision of the 27th generation Grandmaster Yang Meijun, who opened the skill to the public in 1978. And around half of these 70 or so Kunlun forms are now public, including medical and martial applications. Our Taoist ancestors encoded much more than a series of 128 moves based on the Great Goose. They actually gave us the whole metaphorical map of our own journey of self-cultivation. These epic migrations of the Great Goose have inspired stories of perseverance, resilience, and adaptation, reflecting the challenges we face on our own human journey. Like the Great Goose, you and I are also on our own journey. You and I have mountains to climb and navigate. We encounter headwinds and obstacles on the path. And like the Great Goose, we can overcome these challenges by undertaking the journey side by side in community. Now, the theme for this year's summit is abundance through being in the flow. So before we head outside and practice some Qigong, Let me speak to these ideas, abundance and flow, as it relates to Qigong. And as a quick side note, a lot's been written about abundance and flow, so if you want to go deeper, check out the works of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, Steve Kotler, and Deepak Chopra. But let us start with this basic proposition and then expand on it a little. Qigong fosters flow, and flow fosters abundance. So repeat that: Qigong fosters flow, and flow fosters abundance. Nowadays, there's a lot been written about an abundance mindset, which means that rather than interpreting our world through negative mental filters of fear and scarcity, for example, we think and act from a position of plenty, of gratitude, of positivity and possibility. Now, the regular practice of Qigong can cultivate a plentiful availability of energy, physical and emotional well-being, spiritual connection, longevity and contentment. And furthermore, once we've built an abundant Qi in ourselves, we are then able to use it to help rectify deficiencies in others and to help raise others up. So what about flow? Well, when we observe people doing Tai Chi and Qigong with flowing movements and costumes in the park, this isn't the flow that we're talking about. Qigong flow is more an internal state, a synchronized or entrained mind, heart, Qi and breath coordination. So how is that achieved? Well, most Qigong systems have two types of practice, Donggong and Jingong. Now, the Donggong are dynamic exercises and Jingong are still or meditative exercises. Now, these are both practiced in tandem and both mutually reinforce the effect of the other. For example, in the Wild Goose Qigong system, the first and second 64 are moving Donggong, and these are paired with the Wuxing Jingong, or 5 methods of meditation. And these pairings progress as you move up the system. Now, what's important to know is that both Dong and Jingong, movement and stillness, can cultivate flow. So we could call these a dynamic flow and a quiescent flow. Now, finding and achieving flow is all about eliminating the enemy of flow. So let's call this enemy, I'd like to call it impedance. I think that's a good word because we can talk of impedance to our range of movement, impedance to the flow of blood, Qi and lymph, the impedance of neural communication through the body, for example, between heart and mind and the gut. And also we can talk about impediments to the free flow of our emotions. So our practice of Qigong fosters flow by removing various types of impedance, thereby promoting mind-body health, emotional balance and spiritual well-being. Now, I would just note here that even these states or concepts of flow or abundance could, if fixated upon or chased, become impediments to your progress in themselves. But through correct practice of Qigong's inner cultivation, we can come to experience the potential of our true nature, that is, one unhampered by the egoic mind, negative ideas and notions like fear and scarcity that could be holding us back. So we move from distortion to clarity, we follow flow back to its source, returning to the unlimited self that we always were and always will be. Let's go practice some Qigong together. It's World Tai Chi and Qigong Day. Let's do some Wild Goose Qigong together. I've come outside. The sun is just trying to push through the early morning cloud. This is where I commonly do my Qigong practice in the morning. What I've done, I'm going to show you some moves from the Wild Goose Qigong system. These are moves that I've cherry-picked or extracted from the longer first 64 and the second 64 postures. They're going to demonstrate and give you a feel of the flow and the postures of the Wild Goose Qigong. As part of this summit, you've also got access to the Dian Academy where you can check out all of these trainings, so not just these postures, but the whole first 64, second 64, and other trainings I've created from the Wild Goose Qigong system. So, without further ado, the sun is just pushing through. Let's move on and do some Wild Goose Qigong. So this posture I want to show you is from the beginning of the first 64 exercise within the Wild Goose Qigong system, and it's called Cloud Hands. I'm going to just show you this movement. So there's an alternating step and alternating spreading of a single wing on one side, and then transitioning of the weight, opening of the wing on opposite sides. In the form, you step that 3 times, but we can extend this to stepping a circle. So I'll show you that now. So let's begin with a shoulder width stance, and we're going to just start with our palms or our hands in the small of the back with the palms upwards, and the heku point here in this fleshy bit between the thumb and the first finger, that's called the heku point. That's going to rest in the small of the back over a kidney point called the shenshu point. So this is where the palms come into. So that's where we keep our hands as we're going to start this movement. Going to sink the weight into the left leg and step out with the front right leg, but it's going to be an empty step in as much as there's hardly any weight in it. This front leg is relaxed and the foot is put down on the outside and towards the front of the foot so that the sole is relaxed and open. So the yongshen point on the bottom of the foot is relaxed and the whole leg is relaxed. And this is what helps with this alternating yang and yin step. Okay, so you've got this hard and soft relaxed step as we move forward. Anyhow, back to the beginning. We're going to step with the right foot, so we sink the weight into the left leg. Empty step with this right foot. Keep a bit of width between the heels. And now the right hand's going to soften at the wrist, and you draw around the waistline, unfurling that wing, looking at the center of the right palm, and it gathers back in, touches the back. You transition the weight into that front leg, and then step out now with the left foot, unfurling the left wing, looking at the palm, turning the waist. That gathers in to the left shenshu point. Change the weight, empty step, and you repeat. So you're turning the waist, sinking the weight into the back leg, and the twist comes through, down through the leg and the spine, and you're watching that palm. So the palm, where you're focusing in the center of this Lao Gong point, where your middle finger touches the palm there, Lao Gong point, that's where your focus is, and that's where your intention and the chi will gather in the palm as you turn. And then that is fed into the shenshu, this kidney point. Transition, step, unfurl, palm is at waist height. You're looking down at the Lao Gong. Chi feeds into the left shenshu. Okay, so we can keep going like this, and we're going to step a circle, anti-clockwise circle. So we can start with the left, and you're just going to walk a circle. Doesn't matter too much how many steps you take. Right now, you're just going to practice this move, but just move around in a circle. And then you can step up, bring the palms back to the front, in front of the navel here. So this posture from the Wild Goose Qigong first 64 is called Wild Goose flying up to the left and right 7 times. So this is involving the same stepping as we've done. So you're stepping, exchanging weight, moving forward 7 times, and we're turning the waist as we did with the cloud hands, but now we're bringing the palms up level with the upper dantian, roughly level with the forehead. The Lao Gong point again is level with the forehead, and the lower hand is level with the lower dantian. So let me just show you this and you can get the feel for it. So we have the stance, shoulder width stance again. You get an empty step with the left foot first. You're drawing up the left hand, then you turn the waist out, and you're looking at the left Lao Gong, and this hand is level with the forehead, the lower hand level with the lower dantian. Then you gather back in. Now you're going to cover around the lower dantian. Left hand over the right, change the weight. Empty step with the right foot. Draw up the right hand up the inside line here. Comes up to the heart area. Excuse me. Turn the waist out, looking at the right Lao Gong. And the left hand covers the lower dantian. Then we gather, change the weight, step. And this repeats 7 times. So all the time you're covering this lower dantian. You're not actually touching, but there's a gap, a few inches between the lower dantian, the inner hand and the outer hand. There's a gap there. Just do that from the side. So you can start with the weight in the back right leg, empty left foot, draw up the left hand. As the hand comes up to the heart area, then you're going to turn, look at the left palm, reverse that, gather back in, change the weight, empty step with the right foot, draw up, turn the waist out. So the gaze is following the active hand. Through a lot of the moves, the focus is always watching the active hand here. Okay, because where our focus is where our intention is and where the chi moves to. This is a nice move because it's actually balancing your upper, connecting your upper dantian and your lower dantian alternately on different legs. Okay, from left to right. So this is the connection one will feel here, upper and lower. Gather the chi back in. Give that a go. It's a lovely move. You can just keep repeating that. You can either step forward, 7 steps, or you can stay on the spot by bringing the front foot back in, change the weight, empty step. So turn the waist, the weight sinking down through the back heel, and you're rotating through the spine and the waist, the qua area here. Keep watching the active hand. Okay, that is Wild Goose flying up to left and right 7 times. So this next movement forms part of a longer sequence within the first 64, connecting with those other postures we've just been over. It's called Wild Goose Looking for Food. It's one of my favorite moves within the first 64. Let me show you that. So again, there's more stepping involved, but this movement is a wild goose looking for food. Again, this is repeated 7 times in the form, so it's something we can go over and repeat here. So let me just show you through that, and you can see how this feels. So we've got the shoulder width stance again. We're going to drop into this move by, let's just raise the wings to here. So no higher than the shoulders, the palms. Again, you're going to step out first with the left foot, which means we're going to sink the weight into our right knee. Empty step with the left foot, touching just down on the outside and front of the front foot. So the sole of the foot slightly open. So the Yongquan point on the bottom of the foot is relaxed, as indeed the whole front leg is relaxed. We can refer to these as a yang leg and a yin leg, and these are alternating as we step. So our wings are up. We have a plane coming over. Might be able to remove that. That'll be a good test for the noise reduction. So our first swing is going to be on the left side. All right, so we're going to bend from the hip. The left hand covers the right. You come up to the knee, push down again. Gaze comes up, then you transition the weight. Empty step with the right foot. We're slightly going out from 11 to 1 o'clock as we step here. So the gaze comes up. Again, this is the top of the breath. And then the gaze drops. Exhale. The wings do this mantling motion. The left hand covers the right up to the knee, pushes down. Come up, breathe in. Top of the move, change the weight, step. Gaze drops, body drops, wings mantle, pull up, push. Step. Let's move back again. I'll break that down a bit more. So what the hands are doing, the left hand is covering the right. They're not touching. A couple of inches between them. The left hand draws up to the knee and then pushes down. So you're drawing chi up and down the shin. So step. And that's the same for both sides. The left hand always covers the right. So lots of things are transitioning here. You're transitioning the weight, and the gaze is going from floor up to horizon. Then we're going from left to right slightly. Breath. What the breath's doing here is you've got one out breath from the top, down, still out, and then as you come out, up, you're breathing in, top of the breath. Okay. So this next posture is from the second 64, and it's called Wild Goose, flying into the wind. It involves the same stepping 7 times. And if I show you from the side, you can see how that looks. Imagine the goose is flying into the wind, gets pushed back by the headwind, changes, and then progresses forward. Okay, so we're getting pushed by the wind, we're absorbing that headwind, and then pushing forward. So let's come to face you. We're going to start with shoulder width stance again, and we're going to push on the left foot first. So I'm going to step with the right foot, the palms come up, basically pushing from the chest. So you transition the weight from the back right leg into the left. And that's the extent of the push here. And then you drag back. So you soften the wrists and you're dragging or pulling the chi back into the palms, the Lao Gong. And then you transition, step, keep a shoulder width stance, shoulder width between the heels. And as you transition, you push, pull back. So the whole move is a pushing, pulling back, push, pull back. Now as you pull back, you need to keep an alignment between the heku points in the palms. Keep these level, keep the elbows, forearms level, and just flex the wrist slightly, opening up this Lao Gong point in the palm there. Once more. Push. Pull. Transition. Step. Push. So your weight goes forward just so your knee is over your front toe. Don't overextend the arms. So this would be an overextension, full extension. Just come to here. Still some flex in the elbow. Sink back. Step. Push. So if you want to stay on the spot, you just bring your front foot back and step this way. Okay? Push, pull. Into the headwind, getting pushed back, stepping, pushing forward, flying through into the wind. Okay, give that a try. The next movement I want to show you comes from towards the end of the second 64 within the Wild Goose Qigong exercise. It's called Wild Goose Flies Over the Water. And it's a simple stepping and undulating of the wings here. So it's basically 3 lots of 3. So there's 3 flaps, and then you're going to step with the other foot, and there's 3 flaps of the wing on that side. But I'm showing you this because although there's not so much movement of the whole body in it, it's subtle, because what we're doing is undulating the chi down the wings to the fingertips, where all the channels connect or come to the end of the channel in the fingers. You've got this undulating motion, and that's coordinated with the breath, and it's coordinated with a subtle sinking and expansion through the ground, through the leg here. So we can start on our weight in the back right leg. Got an empty front foot again. Remember, the weight's towards the outside of the front foot and slightly towards the front. So it's opening the Yongxuan point in the bottom of the sole. And this is relaxed. So the weight is through the right leg. We're going to raise our wings. The palms are at shoulder height. And there's this little sink motion through the back leg. As you sink, you undulate down the wing to the fingertips. So imagine that movement undulating down to the fingertips, chi reaching the end of the wingtips. So, and with the breath, breathe in. When you come up slightly, exhale as you undulate down to the fingertips. Breathe in, down. After 3 flaps, change the weight. Empty step with the right foot. 1, 2, 3. Change the weight. 1, 2, 3. So there's a little circling going on. So there's an undulation down the arm. There's a little circling of the wrists and the elbows and the shoulder. So this move on the outside doesn't look as though there's much going on, but there's a very subtle movement down through the torso with the weight. Obviously the breath is coordinated with subtle flapping of the wings, and then we're exchanging the legs. So we're then exercising alternate legs. Step 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And step up, gather the palms into the dantian. So at the same time, when you come up, there's a slight expansion across the chest. So undulation includes this expansion of the chest, subtle expansion, sinking, opening and closing. Okay, in time, you'll start to feel that chi, this tingling sensation, move all the way down to the fingertips. Now at the end of the first 64, indeed at the end of any practice, no matter how far through the form you get, we're always doing this shou qi or shou gong, which is a gathering of the chi and the sinking of the chi down through the body. So we'll just do a couple, 2 or 3 of these. So your hands are at the side. The palms rotate upwards towards the heavens. And then over the crown, you're smoothing down the front of the body, palms facing inwards, past the forehead, throat, heart, stomach, down to the lower dantian here, just beneath the navel. Relax, and again, breathe in as the hands rise up. Exhale as you smooth down this center line. Little pause in front of the lower dantian. Once more, breathe in. And sink. Keep the gaze forward. And also, at the end, it's always nice just to quietly acknowledge the masters and grandmasters that have gone before us, that have passed this tradition and skill all the way down, all the way back from these 1,800 years ago, right forward to the present day. So a little quiet nod and acknowledgement of that transmission of the skill. Okay, now before I go, if you'd like more Wild Goose Qigong, then as a summit attendee, I want to give you a free 14-day access to the online Nest community and the Diane Academy, where you'll get access to all these training courses. And if you purchase the VIP pass, I'll be giving you a lifetime access to the Wild Goose Qigong, which is a bodybuilding or body strengthening by slapping exercise. So just follow the link in or around this video, and I'll look forward to serving you further on your Qigong journey. Live long and well, go spread your wings, and I'll hand you back over to Lama Tantrapa.